demo, I want you to stop me and just say, hey, I got a question about that. That way we don't move forward too fast, okay? Mm-hmm. And let me jump in. Let me just go with the one that's like here. Do this with, let's see, profit here. That's some data. That's one of ours. All right, so this is the dashboard to our platform. Now, as I explained in our last call, our platform is a combination content management system, relationship management system, and an e-commerce management system. But we are heavy on the content management part because that's where we come from. So what we try to do is fuse those things together in terms of building applications and also in integration of that data and the way that the data talks to each other. The way that the platform works is it's kind of like a big iPhone. The main platform is really the dashboard where you go in, you update your payment information, you collaborate and talk to our team, check on the status of your projects and get support. That's the basic platform. For example, if somebody wants to come in and they want to schedule a call with our support team, they can come in, say, I've got a technical support issue, I want to talk to somebody on Monday, here's all the open time slots, just like you would if you needed your iPhone repaired. They would choose a time slot, and then they would either create a new ticket or they would choose an existing issue that they've been corresponding about. If they want to schedule live training sessions or they just want to correspond with our team for any reason, they can also do that. And we've got video tutorials on all these pages so that they know what to do all along the way. So that makes that part really easy. That's just the overarching dashboard itself. But the real sauce here is in the applications themselves. Now, normally this first one isn't there. That's the custom app built for this specific client. But the rest of these are all our typical apps that every client would have access to. And they're going to open up in their own windows, and I'll show you how that works in a second. But I'll explain them a little bit. The account manager is where you'd expect to manage your account. Add users, set their permissions, check your billing, update your payment information. All that stuff is available inside of the account manager. The blog manager is for managing blogs and comments. That's a really important feature, especially for power bloggers. We have a bunch of different individual features, like being able to import RSS feeds and monitor them, and being able to restrict commenting or turn on Facebook commenting instead of inline commenting. There's all kinds of stuff in there that we'll take a look at. The CMS hosting manager is the geek portion of our system. This is the place where all the HTML code for your template resides, all of your settings for your account, your web traffic statistics, all that stuff is all in the CMS hosting manager. The community manager is where you can turn on interactive capabilities of the site, like online directories, people directories. You can install a social media network on your site. It's a very discussion-driven social media network, and as opposed to something like Facebook that's very media-driven. So it's really a contemporary version of a message board. And you've also got the ability to create live chat rooms and things like that. The content manager is really, this is where you live and breathe. The content manager is where you manage all of your page content. You can create forms for data capture. You store any third-party installation widgets, and then you also control your website menu and hierarchies. The domain name manager is a full-service domain name manager where clients can go in and purchase domain names as well as control, transfer in domain names, and even manage their DNS settings for pointing the domain in different places. We have the e-commerce manager, and that controls all of the financial transactions. So everything from donations all the way to store purchases are all managed from the e-commerce manager. The email manager is where they manage their email accounts, all of their email aliases, and their listserv accounts. This is not, by the way, where you send mass emails through. That's a different application, and I'll show you in a second. The event manager is where you manage your online calendars, all of your event registration, all your event registration rosters, your volunteer management. You're going to do that all through Event Manager, and it's all done through event-based entries that then track everything along the way. Real-time transactions through AuthorizeNet or PayPal Pro are processed right through there for just a one-stop shop for all event registration. The The Learning Manager is our online learning system. This is where you can actually create curriculums with courses and courses with units and units with exams, and you can manage student records. You can manage online course enrollment all through the Learning Manager. The Media Manager is where all your media resides. This is where your files, your audio, video, and images reside, as well as any documents that you're going to have for download. The Ministry Manager is for religious institutions. We've got a few applications in there, such as everything from generating online Bibles all the way to doing relief work and coordinating that in your local community. The Organization Manager is really a meta information application that is actually prepping everyone for some new collaboration tools that we're going to be creating next year. And it's going to be all around this idea of every nonprofit having a way that it's structured and having auxiliary teams, committees, and subcommittees. And we're going to be creating some new collaboration tools that will allow people like, for example, boards to operate remotely and do things like register votes and post documents to each other without having to be in the same location. The Relationship Manager is our CRM tool. This is where all the people data is stored and individual records are detailed. And then finally, our Resource Manager. The Resource Manager is kind of a catch-all application. It only has one feature right now, and that's to help you organize a list of links to display on your site. Many times you'll see people do these pages with just all these links that they're recommending, but there's no order to it. With the Resource Manager, we help you catalog and identify them, structure them in a way so you're almost creating your own little mini Yahoo rather than just putting a bunch of links on a page. So everything's a lot more intuitive. And so these are all the applications. Now, it's very understated. You kind of come in here, see all these colorful circles, but underneath the hood, as I open this up, you're going to see where the power lies. And before I move forward, do you have any questions or comments? Yep, I'm good so far. All right. Well, great. I'm going to open up the site that we're looking at. So let's take a look at this site real quick. And this is for an organization that does religious fashion weeks. And you can see the site itself. It's structured very familiar way. We've got drop downs at the top. The content looks really good. It's very easy to follow. And this is an organization that internally here, actually, one of our staff members run. And we're able to, go from page to page and see that everything's really done very well. Got tons of content and a lot of history here. And this organization hasn't run an event in a few years, but we still got the site. And of course, working on another event here. I'm sorry, my internet is a little slow here for some reason. It looks like the tethering with GoToMeeting and the site is causing a little bit of delay. I don't know why GoToMeeting has you run inside of its browser, but it does. There you go. So you see that the pages, they host everything from data to content to video itself. You can embed media into the sites. We don't restrict you in any way. Well, of course, GoToMeeting just crashed, so give me just 1 second, Joe. Are you seeing anything still on your screen?
Yeah. GoToMeeting will keep things going for about 5 minutes after you crash, so you have a chance to get back in.
Yeah, there you go. All right, I'm on my way. I'm almost there.
So just based on from what you've shown us so far, the content management is straightforward. It looks like you can. Oh, now you're back. I guess you'll show us the editor, but essentially, we're familiar with WordPress and with programs like Wix, and so this, in addition to being a content management system, also has all these other features built in with the in terms of the CRM capabilities and the email and the e-commerce piece is obviously there's a lot of plugins for WordPress for e-commerce, but the idea here is just to keep everything in one place. It appears.
Yeah, Yeah, there's definitely that. There's the idea to keep everything in one place, but keep everything very easy to manage, give you the best of all worlds. For example, WordPress, what you get is you get a very basic install of a content management system. But then you've got to go hunt for plugins. Usually those plugins are written by kids in their garage. They're riddled with security issues to the fact that they just don't work. Some of them do. The popular ones do work, and they do a great job. But then when you need to expand those, or you need to do something else with it, or you need to integrate the data, there's either no availability to do it, or you've got to hire somebody rather expensive to tailor your plugins or tailor WordPress itself. Same thing with Joomla and any of these platforms. So you've got really the advantage here where you're not only are you being hosted with the company who's built the software, but because we're the software company, we can do customizations and changes and things and tailor the software the way you need it. But above and beyond that, it's built based on best practices over 17 years, and all the data is integrated already with the other apps. So it's really, really just a win on all directions. And I'm trying to get back into this thing. I do see that they give me access to the meeting, but then they only allow me to join. So I'm just trying to kind of get in here, guys. Sorry about that. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just open up a second meeting, and then I'll give you the code here if it kicks you out. So what it is that GoToMeeting doesn't quite let you use your own browser. I don't know if it's allowing you to open up a separate browser, but here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go over to, we're going to start with the content manager. Actually, I'm going to log an account. Give me a second. Okay, wonderful. Let's try this again. All right. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to take you into first the content manager. This is going to give you a bit of an intro. I don't know, is it showing you the application?
Right now we see the account dashboard.
It's just the dashboard. It's just the dashboard. Yeah, GoToMeeting is not allowing me to open up in the same browser. All right, so we're going to do this a slightly different way. Give me one moment.
I think you can choose and go and GoToMeeting when you choose to share your screen. Can't you pull down which screen or which window you want to share, and you can just share one of your regular browsers?
No, it's actually not allowing for that.
Huh.
Of course, I am using the app, so let me see if I can jump into the actual website. Give me 1 second. Sorry about this here. I don't usually do the demos here, so just wanted to make sure we got the content manager. Now, our apps, they open up in separate screens, so you can do a little bit of multitasking. Many times folks have to jump in and out of different applications. And if they're in an application and they need to get to one of the top 6 apps here at the bottom, they can easily kind of hop between them. So I can always go to the account manager, or I can hop into the content manager right within the app itself. So this is the main application. When we talk about something like a WordPress, we talk about really managing information and content. This is our version of content management. I'm just going to kind of expand this out. All of our apps, by the way, are designed this simply. You've got the name of the app at the top, your account. If there's any help for it, you see the orange question mark that brings up video tutorials. We've got the different sections, the main sections of the app themselves, and then the main screen. So right now for this particular website, we're going to click on Web Pages. Now, these are the pages of the site. And they're organized in the exact same way that the site itself is organized. So if I go right now to, let's go to the home page. You'll see across the top that there's this navigation and there's this navigation right here. So what we've done is we've said, let's create header right, and then let's create let's see how we have this organized. Let's just kind of hop into these real quick. All right. main header on the left, and then we have header right. So you see care, fashion shows, get involved, and then there's a right header section here that has the remainder of those options. So upcoming events, the blog, the backstage area, and then about. So one of the nice little things here is that instead of having to go to some menu editor and change the order of things, just change the order of menu items, here we can say, well, maybe we want fashion shows ahead of care, so we're just going to right here within the content editor just drag and drop that there. And now when we refresh the page, you'll see those two hot places. Now you see fashion show and care. So really simple for your client, you or your clients or anybody to go in and manage their own, the menu options and the order of those menu options as well. Now let's say we go in and we say, well, within care, we'd like to add maybe a fifth element. You can just simply go under the care folder. You'll see that all the four are there. And we're just going to create a demo element here, create page. Now right now a page was created. We're just going to go and refresh. Go to care, notice demo is already there. And here's the page that was created. And so here we just got the placeholder content. Instead of using Lorem Ipsum, we actually give a little tutorial on how to create great content. Now let's say I want that page there, but I don't want it to show up in the menu because I'm still working on it. I can go to page settings and remove it from the menu. I save. Now when I go back to the site, if I go under care, notice it's missing. So now it's a hidden page on the site, and I can manage it using this WYSIWYG editor. Real simple, guys. This is like, Microsoft Word. You just go in, they decide what they want to do with their content. They can insert images. They can upload more, replace. And then for the geeks in the room, you can always go in, add classes and styles, and do whatever you want with the content itself. They can copy and paste from Word. It'll somewhat clean it up for them. I always recommend to folks, paste from Word and then strip the formatting out and reformat in here unless you've got a really clean document. But once they're all done with their changes in here, and it actually just reverts from the stack. Once they're done with the changes, they can save it, and it instantly goes live on the page, but we also remembered what it looked like before they made the change, in case they make a mistake. So for example, let's say we come in here, we're going to change this, let's say to header 3, we're going to make a change. Notice we kept another change, and we'll keep up to 90 days of changes for just this one page. So let's say they say, I didn't really mean to do all that. Let's revert back. You can just simply click on revert. It'll ask them if they really want to do that. It'll revert it back, and now they can save the page. Now that pre-reversion is saved, and the new one is restored, or the old one is restored. So a lot of great controls here, controls for everything from media to images. But this is the basic content management that is possible for page content. Any questions so far?
Is this
Can you just pull up the, I'm sorry.
is this structure that you're using something that you created, or is that something that you integrated that's an OEM product? The CMS.
No, this is our platform from the bottom up. This is version 6 of our platform that we started back 17 years ago.
Okay.
Where does like a library of content, videos, or whatever? Where is that located? We say library of content. What do you mean?
Of your own content. It's in the media section.
So you're talking about, like, for example, videos and audio and any files or any documents? Right. And how is it just a drag and drop in certain places, or how does that work together? Yeah, let me show you. This is actually our media manager, and there's a file storage area where all of your documents, your images, media is all stored. So there's a number of areas in here that you can go to control this. You can get little quick previews, or you can click on it and actually see what the image is. Now, let me jump back over to the content manager. So if I go over here, let's say I want to add one of those to a page. All I need to do, let's go ahead and remove this one. And when I go in, I want to add a picture. I'm going to go ahead and hit Browse Server. It's going to open up the Media Manager. Let's say, well, you know what? I think I really like, let's see, this image right here. Let's drop that in. Let's align it to the right, with a little bit of spacing, drop it right in there. Now, let's say that image wasn't on the server, and you have it on your computer. And you would go back in here, and you would just click Upload and add an image. It's going to open up a window to your computer, and then you can upload the image. It's super simple. Just kind of show that to you again. I'm just going to go in, put the image in. Do you have any videos on there? I don't have any videos in this particular account, but if you wanted to add video, what we're really recommending these days is not to upload video to the server, to actually use third-party services like Vimeo or YouTube, because their services are so optimized for media that we couldn't possibly compete on their performance. So we just basically say use those third-party tools and then use them and embed them. Now, the way that you would do that is, let's say we'd open up YouTube. And let's go and just kind of choose a video from here. So what we recommend to a client is, get a YouTube video, open up a YouTube channel or a Vimeo channel. And what we're going to do is we're going to grab the embed tool. So for some reason, YouTube isn't connecting. YouTube channel. Okay, there we go. And let's grab this one here, Places You Should Never Swim. Sounds like an interesting video. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab the share code here, the embed code, and we're just going to, let's say we're going to stick that video right here. I don't quite know what's going on with YouTube right now, but it'll pop open here for us in a second. YouTube, for some reason, has an issue, but you normally see the video right here. And then once you get that, you just save the page. There it is. So here's the video right there. If you ever want to change it, you just go in, add a brand new destination here, and save it again. Now, by the way, if I go to view the page on the site, here's what I get. Right. So, management of video and audio, we're also recommending to folks that they use SoundCloud for audio. It's free up to a certain point. If they pay $60 a year, there's some ridiculous amount of storage space that they give them. And SoundCloud also has the equivalent in terms of embedding. What tell folks is, listen, use the best resources you can. So if you want to do media, do the media service, and then use that as a third-party embed right onto your site. And then make sure we're focused on your website, your data, making sure things work and are structured properly.
There's a second reason. There's a second reason for that, and that is that if you host the video on your site or the audio on your site, then it's a bandwidth. You have to support that bandwidth. But if you do it using the iframe the way that he just showed, then it's the bandwidth of SoundCloud or YouTube that's being used. So we learned about that in the CPA marketing.
From a performance standpoint, it's one of those things where not only is bandwidth saved on our side, but now you're also using servers that are optimized for video and audio instead of using a web server to do that. So that's why it's really, really important that customers do focus on, again, using the best of breed. And not only that, they also get all the analytics and everything that, again, YouTube gives you for free. Why in the world should you pay for it? So really great stuff. You get the social bang for it too. You get social exposure on YouTube channels, and then if you make your Vimeo channel public, the same thing. So there's so many reasons why you should do it, and our system 100% accommodates it. One of the really strong little nuggets that you get with our platform is this idea. There's an idea that we call a macro, and the macros are little character sequences that are actually what Content Manager allows you to encapsulate third-party stuff. So let's say, for example, we've got an audition video. Here we go. It's just an iframe from YouTube. It's just their code. It's just a library of stuff like that that you can actually build. So here, Beacon Ads. We're running Beacon Ads. So here's their code that they gave us. The reason why this is important is because a lot of times when you stick stuff like that on, for example, inside of a WYSIWYG editor, the editor will try to kind of quote unquote fix it, and a lot of times it'll break it. So what we do is we tell people, put it in here, let's kind of store it for use, for multiple use throughout the site. But once you do that, the system gives you this character sequence, and it says, instead of using that gobbledygook code that they gave you, just use this one line, and we'll replace it on the fly. So, for example, let's say this video right here, 2012 audition video 1. I'm just going to grab the macro. We're going to go to our demo page, and let's get that out of there. And we're just going to throw the macro in there. So you see, there's the macro line, and we're just going to save the page. What the system will do on the fly is when it goes to render this page, it'll replace that with whatever you put inside of the macro. And so now as the page loads, we'll see the video, see if it's still around. It's from 2012, so there's always that possibility. And it was a YouTube clip, and of course, YouTube's having some issues. So we see that it rendered the YouTube clip, even though you don't really see that here, but you get the point. It's going to put whatever you encapsulate in there in that spot instead of the character sequence itself. This is also how applications are installed. So for example, let's kind of close a few windows here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take the blog, I'm going to open up the blog manager. The blog manager, of course, is where you manage your blogs. And so I'm going to come in here and I'm going to take the blog that's here, this Christian, let's take the Christian Fashion Week blog. We're going to go to blog settings. We're going to scroll down. As you can see, it gives you a few different versions of the blog installation, but the installation itself is a macro. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take this listing view, and we are going to copy and paste that into our demo page. Now what ends up happening is in the place of that macro, you now have your entire blog installed. Now, normally what we do with a blog is we would actually get rid of all the content and just put the macro in on that page. That way that page is devoted to it. So now let's just refresh this page, see what it looks like. All right, so now the whole blog is installed here. It's completely functional. If I click on the links, all I had to do was copy and paste one line, and now I have an entire blog functioning on my site. That's how you install stuff. And you can do it on any page that you want. So unlike a lot of other systems kind of force you to have a certain URL for your apps, certain URL for your blog, we don't. And you can create multiple of them. So you can create a blog for your press releases and a blog for your actual blog content. You can create a different one for education purposes, and there's different formats of them for different purposes. So installation of our applications is done exactly like this. You just copy and paste one line that the system gives you, and now you've got that app installed on your site. So another great example of this, if I go to, let's say we go to the event manager, and I want to install a calendar. Here I have my macro for doing that. Let's go ahead and install a monthly deal. And we're going to go back to our page, copy and paste that macro. Now when I open up that page, we've got a whole calendar system working. If I want to add an event, I can come in and add an event. Add this for Monday, 12 p.m. It'll last for 4 hours. I'm going to call this demo event. This is a summary. Your description, you have your familiar content editor. You can put pictures, whatever you like. And there's a number of other types of features here. Everything from allowing registration tickets to allow recruiting volunteers. Is this event one time or is it recurring? What's the venue information? Let's see if it, something here. -4 of this account, it'll remember all the information. It'll save you from having to retype it. We're going to save the event. And now when we go to the site in the calendar, we see the event there. And click on it. And here's the screen that's created just from the information that I gave.
So how do the email sequences interact or connect to the calendar? Or is that
the email? Yeah, those are kind of two unrelated things. You can create email sequences that mark it an event, and then you can create again links to the event, and then register people into the database. And then once they register in, you can do other stuff. So you can say, I want to send out an email based on this set of criteria after I've got all these registrants in the door. Does that make sense?
so everything is after they register?
Yeah. So for example, let's actually go into the app that you're actually referring to. So let me delete this test event.
So I have a subscriber, but they have not registered. Will they be able to also, be segmented and have some email sequence to them?
The way that registration works, sequences are not built based on registration or a registration to an event. Sequences are built right now based on membership into a specific subscription level. One of the things that's changing over the next quarter is that we're going to be building more automation tools that are based on other types of events. So we're going to be adding events like registered for this event or commented on a blog post. Those types of things are being actually added as we add an equal weighting to the CRM capabilities of our system. I think we discussed that in our last call.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me show you real quick. I'm just going to let me keep our demo page for a second. And let me close this page here. What we're going to do is go to our relationship management system. This will answer a lot of questions for you in terms of relationship management. So here's the relationship manager for this particular account. There's a few things that you could do here. It's deceptively simple. We're actually creating a different version of this that I told you about called the relationship dashboard, which is going to be more action-driven, whereas this is more data-driven. So if I come in here, I can kind of look up a name real quick, and then I can say, okay, I got the guy that I'm trying to communicate with. Let me go ahead and open his file, and then here's his file. You got everything from picture to contact data to biographical information to positions in the organization to any categorization, groups they belong to, memberships they currently hold, relationships to other people within the database, any conversations that are active that we're currently tracking in the system. We've got accounting, any transactions or orders they put through, any credit card information, payment information we've got on file, any notes and projects, student records, benevolence requests. There's the whole file on each individual. And what we're doing here in the next kind of iteration of all this here in the next quarter is we're creating actions based on this data. So whereas the relationship manager focuses on getting the data in there, the relationship database is really focused on things, how do I use it? How do I use it to raise money? How do I use it to communicate? How do I use it to schedule projects and tasks?
Okay, so I can enter the data with a certain tag, and then be able to send manually send an email to those people that are segregated that way.
Yeah, exactly. Let me show you an example of that. So I'm going to go into the people search tool, and I'm going to say I want everyone here who is an alumni. They're in the category alumni. We'll submit that search. Give me a second here, gentlemen. The search is taking a little bit longer than normal. So we've got a search result here. Now what we can do is we can do a few things. We can either export the search to an Excel spreadsheet, or more powerfully, we can save the search. And we're just going to call it Demo Alumni. Save the search. And now it's in our saved searches. So at any time, you can go to the Demo Alumni, and we can either hit this arrow to download it from here. We can click on this and reinitiate the search to see what results we get. And probably one of the most important parts of it is to go to the Communications tab. So I go to Communications, I can click on Create a New Campaign. I can then choose that search that I just created from a list. So now what we're going to do is we're going to create a communication campaign. Let's save this and go on to the next step. And I have a few options. I can create an HTML email. By the way, if you want to create kind of an email template, you can for yourself. If I want to send out a text version, the same thing. Maybe I want to do text messages to people who we have mobile numbers from. So we can say, check your email. And if you want to send a voice call, you can do that as well. You can upload an MP3 file, and we will call everyone who has a phone number and play the MP3 message on their phone when they answer it. Those accomplished calls, the ones that actually connect and we get through to your billed for. This is actually a per usage type of feature to the system. If you send text messages, they're a much lower rate, and then the emails are included in our top level service, and they're billed separately per usage on our lower level service. And so you can do communication campaigns. We have one organization. They use this tool, and they went from 25,000 to 100,000 in their next fundraiser simply because they were able to communicate more efficiently and more often. So they came in here. They would set up an email, text message, and voicemail campaign, and they'd go to lunch because it was like an army of people sending communication out. And it would go out to their subscriber list of about 5,000 people. And so their next fundraiser, it was a 5K. They ended up raising tons of money just because they could communicate more efficiently and effectively. So that's what was built in. It's all based on the saved searches.
Now, when you say I see the field start sending on, now can you also, indicate, send, email number 2 on the 24th, or you still have?
No, that's not how this particular feature works. Let me actually delete this campaign. I'm going to show you the email sequence area. Under memberships, this is currently the one place where email sequences are active. As we move forward in the next quarter, you're going to see that email sequences kind of shift from here into a place where you're going to go to control sequences based on other criteria. So this will give you a little taste of what this is. So I can go right now currently, if somebody joins one of these, so you just simply subscribe them to one of these memberships. I'm going to go in here to the business network. There's an autoresponder area where I can say I want to add an autoresponder. And we're going to call this email 1. And this happens when they subscribe. We're going to send an email, and we're going to do it right on day 0, same day. And this will be welcome. And then what we're going to do in here is we're going to just type the email and then save it. We could then do a second one and say, okay, on day 1, after they subscribe, or on day 5 or day 7, and you can do as many of these as you want. And just continue to create an email sequence here as far out as you'd like to, but it's all based on membership right now. So they've got to be subscribed to something, to one of the memberships you create, and that is the trigger for auto emails. What we're adding is a brand new section, like I said, that's going to be actually just for this, that's going to be action-based, and one of the criteria will be membership, but then we'll also have things like, again, registered for an event, or they signed up for a newsletter, or maybe they commented on a blog post, things like that. Mm-hmm. Make sense? Mm-hmm. But today, the way that you do it is, selling vaporware, where today this is the way that you do it, is they subscribe to a particular membership, figure out, like, okay, this is somebody that I want to get the sequence, so I'm going to create something called, high dollar donor or, family donors, and they can put them in this and control it based on subscription rather than action. Sometimes, you do an action-based sequence, and then, you realize people are taking action, and you didn't really intend for them to get something. So this just gives you a little bit more control, but we do want to add the action-based sequences because they're much more automated.
So you can subscribe your members to a sequence or to a membership. They don't have to do it themselves.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, our system will track it from the moment they're added, whether it's by you or by them. So if I go back to, let's say, one of these profiles, let's go to my profile here, and let's jump in here. Let's say I want to add this guy to memberships, right? I'm going to go ahead and add a membership, and I'm just going to choose the one I want to add it to, and then I'd save membership. That's it. The system then will have a date created, and that's what it bases the sequences on. It's a date created.
Nice. Nice.
Very nice. Now, there's data importing as well. If you have a customer who has pre-existing data, they can import their people in. There's some automation that'll be done there too. If they want to join them to categories or join them to memberships, they can do that on the fly when they do the import, when they process the import. You can create what we call custom fields. I don't really recommend thinking of them as that. They're really just other types of categories that you're kind of naming. Some people ask, what's the difference between group categories, memberships, and custom fields? They're really just different ways of thinking about your data. You're not functionally different. So in our system, you can choose by any one of those things, and they're essentially used the same way. It's just that people think of things differently, and we want to accommodate the way they think about it. With the relationship dashboard that's coming, you'll see a lot of these things collapse into a settings area. And again, you'll have more of a queue-based approach to the data. So you'll be able to look at messaging queues, project queues, and accounting queues to know every day so that your people can sign in. Let's say you have a nonprofit organization with 10 staff members. They're going to sign into the relationship dashboard every day and leave it open because it's going to tell them what they have to do today. These are the people you got to communicate with. These are the people you got to bill. And these are the people whose projects you're working on that you have to check off if they've done.
So can you demo that for us? Do you have
No, it's not anywhere near done. Only the interface has been built, and they're still building the main dashboard. So I don't have that. I won't have a demo of that for probably the next 2 months.
Okay, so if somebody comes into work on Monday and there's somewhere there's a house, like some list of things that they need to do, and also communications that need to be sent. Can you show us that?
Yeah, again, that's in the dashboard. That's in the relationship dashboard that we're talking about. Right now, that data, where it's trapped today, there is a place where that's managed and trapped inside of the relationship manager, and I'll show you where the data is residing. Let me see here real quick. I'm going to open this up. There's a place called Notes and Projects. And in Notes and Projects, you can create projects and tasks. So I can create, say, I want to create a project, call it demo project. You assign Jose as the lead on it, and now I'm going to add a task. Call Jose. And this is kind of the way that things are built. So as we go in, this one here is going to be send summary. We're going to do that. That's going to be on the 18th. And that's going to be assigned to Myra. So you can kind of see how these things get built. This is where the data is trapped right now. Right now, in our system, you wouldn't know that this exists unless you went into my record and checked.
Right.
That's not the way that's useful. So what we're doing is we're saying now with the relationship dashboard, when Myra signs in, she's going to see that she has to send a summary on the 18th to Jose about whatever this project is. She won't actually see it until the one before her's done. incremental kind of project management system, task management system, but it's also going to do that with billing and it's going to do that with messaging. So today I've got to communicate with these 4 people. I got to do these 7 tasks, and I've got to bill these 3 people.
Is there
When they show up, who it's assigned to.
is there a calendar view option?
There is no view right now. Right now, we're still working on dashboards and queues and views.
Okay.
Yeah, so unfortunately, I don't have any of that to show you. You guys have actually only been the second people we've even told that it's coming because we don't really like advertising what we're working on until we're so close that we can really say, okay, it's coming next week, you know. Now, again, there's a lot here in terms of relationship manager, in terms of managing data itself, managing people, communicating, which is a really powerful component. You've seen the content manager and the way that it functions, and everything functions just as easily. So if I want to go into, for example, the CMS hosting manager, again, the geeky portion of it, I want to go to the page templates. Everything works the same. The views look the same. So you begin to understand the system better as you use it more and as you hit all the different applications. So I'm going to go in here. I want to edit the homepage template. And here I've got the HTML, and I've got all the CSS that operates the site. In my secondary page, I've got the HTML, but I'm inheriting CSS from the homepage, and none here. So I can control these things. Again, if this is for the geeks in the room, they get complete control of the website. And you can make the changes that you need to from the technical perspective while letting your user just kind of enjoy the ease of WYSIWYG editing of the content. There's a lot of other things, controlling the default meta tags, doing things like loading post-load and preload scripts for things like Google Analytics and any third-party widgets and fonts that you're using. We have a technical settings area that just controls, again, the granular technicals of what's being loaded and kind of how things are working on the site, default fonts. We even got like web server settings, which aren't really used a lot, but they're great for reference in case something's not working right. And we've got web stats. Now, another thing here, is that you have tools like simple tools like the domain name manager. So you say, well, I want to get a domain name. I'd like to get josegomez.com. And so let's see if it's available. Actually, we'll go to domain name checker, josegomez.com, and looks like that's taken, but there's a few other things that are available. And then if they like it, they can just simply click on it and register the name right here live. And we take care of all the registration behind the scenes as well as all the DNS settings and everything. If you have domains in here and you want to control DNS, you can do that too. But all the DNS settings. So technically, you're really covered in the settings of this particular platform. But you can do things like, let your customers or your clients or you yourself are not really used to doing, which is, having control over your email account. Something that simple. And email aliases and where they're pointed to, whether it's one or more people. Those are important things that, folks use all the time, and many times they've got to surrender to an IT person to figure that out for them. So this is the way that platform works.
And how does social media integrate?
Social media integrates in a few different ways. And social integration itself means a few different things. So by in the simplest sense, creating social links and share links throughout your site is easily done. Many of our applications do that automatically. And then as part of the design process, we typically ask people, do you want social links on your site? Which normally you do. We recommend them at the footer of the site on every page, never in the header, because you don't want to lead people off your site immediately. So you've got that integrated at the easiest level. At the more complex level, we do have some level of pulling social data. We right now are working on kind of a new round of social sharing through the platform, not just through share links. One of the things that we really waited for a while to do was to enable our platform to post to social media because people were really abusing that in other platforms and causing a lot of chaos. So we really kind of looked, we've learned from other platforms and what they're doing, and we're just getting ready now to really set up some internal social posting from inside of our platform. So today, what we tell folks is you can have all the sharing you want. You can post your social links there, and we on the top end of our service, on the VIP service, which we're getting ready to rename Complete, we monitor your site for changes to your blogs, to your calendars, and to your pages, and we actually do automated posting to your social media when you post to your site. That way, there's never really a need for that internal sharing component.
Great.
Any other questions?
I just have a couple. As far as reports, other than just what's visible on the dashboard, what kind of reports can you have access to?
Well, it really depends on what type of data you're reporting on. And that one thing I will say is that though our system is phenomenal at data management, one of the weak points, people ask, what's the weak point of your platform? It is reporting. And the reason is because every organization seems to want to report on something different. So what we do is we allow organizations to let us know what reports they actually need. Now, we have one organization, they give us a list of 100 reports, and we said, you're not going to use 100 reports, we're not building it. You got to give us what it is that you really need and what really is what you need to measure your key performance indicators, your site. And once we really fine-tuned that list, we came up with like 5 reports that they needed. So we really try to guide our customers to get the data that they need and not inundating themselves with bad data. That being said, every app here has some sort of reporting. Some of it is summary reporting, like in the content manager, you see right away how many pages you've got, how many forms you've got. That quote-unquote report is available the second you get in there. But other aspects of the system, like traffic reporting, that's done right within the system, and it's actually very comprehensive. So let's jump over there. I'm going to jump over to web stats. Give that a second to pull from the stats server. And let's jump and see let's view details. So from a reporting standpoint, in terms of traffic and visitor data, you get very, very comprehensive reporting. And we keep these types of reports on hand for about a year. So our customers can really see what kind of traffic they're getting, where they're getting it from, where their bounces are, all of these things. Now, on top of this, you can integrate Google Analytics as well. So you can have both levels of reporting. This is going to be the most accurate reporting you're going to possibly get because it's from the server itself. So Google Analytics will give you a little bit more of the kind of marketing 10,000-foot view and make it a little bit friendlier for your guys, instead of so geeky. So this type of analytic reporting is available. Financial reporting, you've got transaction-based reporting, but one of the things that we're adding with our kind of shift in view to more of the relationship management and donor side of things, we're going to be adding a whole host of donor progress reports, everything from that to the generation of giving receipts.
Yeah, that's pretty key. Now, what about when you take a specific campaign? If you could just open up one of the campaigns that you might have, what kind of reporting would you get on that specific campaign?
I don't have a recently sent campaign that I know that I can jump to here within the account that I'm signed in as. But what you get is you get your recipient sent to, you get the open rates and specific open. You also get a log of who opened it, what time did they open it. You get a click metric as well. You get bounce metrics and you get forwarding metrics. So who forwarded the email to other people.
That's great.
And you get what you would expect from like a MailChimp or like a Constant Contact, and you get them all in charts and in data.
And obviously, who subscribes, who registers, so on and so forth.
Yeah, correct. Correct. Yeah, I wish I could send you one right now. I'm trying to think of who I absolutely know. What nonprofit I've got in here? I think this account might have something. Let me take a look real quick. There you go. Let's see here. campaign that was sent out. Total, we had 33 recipients, 24 open, so 72% opened up. And these are the clicks. This wasn't really an email that had something to click on. So here are the individuals who opened it, when they did, and then you can actually drill down. I can say, okay, here's just the open, or just the clicks. Of course, nobody did. Who bounced and weren't subscribed. So for this is just a record of open. And this is the level of reporting.
And I think you have a similar report that, tracks, by the person too, right?
Yeah. Okay. No, not by the person right now, because again, the data is being reported from the kind of data management side, not the reporting side. In the CRM, in the relationship dashboard, we're going to be adding reports so that now we get more granular, like Jose, which ones did he open? What did he click on? That kind of stuff is coming next. Yeah. Yeah, normally in these types of systems, you're not going to really get a lot of that. There's some platforms, newer platforms that do get really granular with that data, but because the data has a lifetime, it's kind of seen as unreliable to provide that because you're going to end up getting rid of that data at some point, and it becomes inconsequential. Well, one of the things that started happening a lot, for example, with the search management world, is that people started tracking everything, started tracking attendance. The reality is, no one cares after about 3 months what the attendance was 3 months ago. So purge counts, and purge dates started to become very important because now people are tracking so much data, and the problem with it all is that after a while it just doesn't even matter anymore. So we really are very careful with that. There is a temptation to compete with other platforms on the data we're collecting. We just don't really feel the need to yield to it. Right now, what we're trying to do is make sure that the things that are the key for nonprofits, things like raising the money, donor actions, the time since the last donation, the financial transactions, how they're happening, their amounts, and really creating something that's very predictive. At the same time, knowing that really the name of the game is not predictive fundraising. The name of the game is acquisition of names. And that's what we're really trying to, there's all these workshops people are having now, and it's about predictive fundraising, and it's about how to go after your top 10%. Yet 95% of nonprofit organizations, they have no top 10%. They're being supported by 10 people who are all given $100 a month. So what we're trying to do is really make the game about donor acquisition first, and then taking that data and doing things like predictive fundraising. But really, honestly, most nonprofits need to accumulate donors, and then they need to be consistent about their fundraising efforts instead of being distracted with 20 different what they call KPIs.
Now, what about lead sources? Where people came from, be able to track that.
Yeah, you can definitely do that. Within a person record, there's always going to be a source field. And then what you can do is you can actually report on it. So let's say I come in here, people search. In the people search, I can type in source, and it will give me everybody within a certain source. So maybe I use the source number or source name, I don't know, 2017 art show. And then I'll be able to do a search on that. I'll pull anyone who that source is attached to. And it all really depends on how you capture them, right? So if I'm creating a form that captures people from the 2017 art show, then that source is going to be, can be valid. I'm going to be able to define that source. But if somebody's coming in to their let's say they commented on a blog post, the source that you'll see here is it'll say, the blog comment. So you'll know that person came into a blog comment. For data entry purposes, one of the things that our system does great is it gives you a bunch of ways that you can enter data, from getting it through the website to just clicking on here, new person. What it does wrong is that this process right here is cumbersome when you're doing 100 entries and you're trying to enter them all in. So what we're doing with the new relationship dashboard is we're creating kind of these speed entry type of screens. Now, of course, our argument to organizations is don't do this. Don't ever do this. Even if we create a speed screen, don't do that. throw it into Excel and import it. That's the fastest way to import your data. So we like to do that, but then some organizations are Excel challenged, and they might only have 25 entries, and they just want to be able to enter them in. So we're going to create some speed screens, but for the most part, really the recommended way is throw it into Excel, import it. And by the way, when you do that, you can define sources in your Excel sheet, and then when you go to import, what we do is, as the second step after uploading a file, we ask you to map it to, specific fields in our system. So here's the example for you. So when you go through, you're actually looking at, okay, on your spreadsheet, you had first name, last name, email. So what does that map to on our side? And this is the second step to importing. And one of those should be source. Let me actually get together with our guys here, because source is actually supposed to be one of these. One of our last update was missed. I'll check with my group. But source is definitely going to be one of these here for your guys. So you're able to then say, yes, I'm mapping this field to source. And then when you go to import, you can say, I want these people to be part of this membership, which will then trigger, by the way, right now, it will allow you to trigger those auto responders. And you can also bring them into categories as well. So we had an organization that brought in about 15,000 entries, but they were split into different groups. So I think we split them into about 10 different imports. And then in each import, they said, okay, this is my artist. And then the next import is, okay, this is my, my member advisory panel people. And what our system will do is that if it finds a match with the email address of a previous entry, it will just simply augment the new data. So if I'm in that first import and I'm also in the second import, it won't create two records. It will add whatever new information it has to my existing record.
And you also have merchant services that are plugged in?
Yeah, we do. What we do is we call them, in our system, we call them gateways. Now, of course, there is a technical difference between the two. So the two gateways that our system supports, so only two. We used to support 95 of them, and it was a nightmare. So we said, let's support the two biggest ones in the world. So we support AuthorizeNet and PayPal Pro. We also support PayPal Standard as well for some transactions, but not for recurring processing. For recurring processing, you have to have PayPal Pro, because you can't do recurring processing with PayPal Standard without doing it through their mechanism. We really encourage our guys to not hand off your recurring transactions to your gateway provider, because then if you want to switch, there's no way to do it. And they won't give you the credit card data. So for us, we say, let us do it. We're PCI compliant. Our platform is completely PCI compliant. Let us handle the storage of the credit cards and the actual transaction processing, but we'll do it through your gateway. So PayPal Pro, AuthorizeNet, and then of course the PayPal Pro, PayPal is also your merchant provider, although they're really reselling that. On the AuthorizeNet side, it has to be tied to an actual merchant account, which is nice because you can actually tie to any merchant account. Any merchant account provider will deal with AuthorizeNet other than PayPal and Intuit. The way that gateways are set up is right in the system, so you're able to set up as many gateways as you want, and then you can attach those gateways to different things. So you can attach them to your store through your donor interface. We have a self-service donor interface we call the donor panel, and it's very nice. It competes with EasyGive and all those platforms that are out there. Allows your donors to go in, register, not only make one-time donations, but also schedule their giving. They can schedule based on fund, so they can say, I want to give 25 a month to this fund, but 50 months to this fund, maybe 1,000 to this one, and then they can pull their own giving receipts. Can I see that? I wish I could show you one, but I don't know of an account off the top of my head that's using it that I can log into. Okay. But it is called the donor panel. Probably the best way, actually you can see that. I just lied to you. The best way that you can see that is to go to do this on your own time if you like. There's actually a demo, the video demo where you can actually see it being used. And this is a site that really goes through and explains it quite a bit. And this $34.95 is not what we charge. This is for people who only use donor panel. And actually, that number just changed to $35, so we're up 5 pennies. And there's no transaction fees. We charge 0 transaction fees on our side. You pay your merchant provider with whatever they get. We just want your account.
And there's a template that you could make and then throw it right on your website.
Yeah, it's kind of it's already kind of a pre-done thing. You really just customize it with some colors and a logo, but it looks the way that it looks. So let me see if I can get you a little bit here. So there's a donor sign-in. I'm going to do this because I know this video doesn't work very well for this. So here's the screen where they're making a donation. And you can see here, let's get to, there's the giving receipt right there with the giving history. You can see here where they're actually planning their gifts. So you can take your time to kind of look through this and just look at this video. It's a super fast video, and it'll show you how easy it is for the donor to manage their own giving and report on their own giving. But the customizations are really the bottom and top color and then the logo. That's the only customizations available for the donor panel.
Got it. Just as an aside real quick, so are all the email outgoing and incoming stored on your site, on your dashboard? Or CRM, right?
Yeah, explain what you mean there. Do you mean when we're corresponding with the owners?
Yeah.
Yeah, the way that it works, I wish I could quickly demo this part for you. We're a little bit out of time here, but the way that the relationship manager messaging works is that you first initiate it through the relationship manager. So I'm going to send an email message to let's say you. And Robert gets an email that says, Jose's got a message for you. Click here to read it. It takes you to a dashboard. It looks kind of like a webmail interface, is what it looks like. But you see the message that I sent to you, and you respond through that. You don't email that. You respond right through that. And when you do, it sends me a message back and says, hey, Jose, I just got a message from Robert. Click here to see it. And then I respond to you through that. And the entire thread is tracked within your user entry.
Perfect. That has been an issue in the past.
Yeah, that way, you really have a good record there, and folks can go in and refer back to previous conversations. It really works well.
Yeah.
Any other questions I can answer for you guys that feel is really critical?
Anything on your side, Rob?
No, that was very good. Very, very informative. Looks like a good product.
Good.
Who are your? I guess the only question, I'm not really involved in this side of it, and Rob might have already looked into it, but who would you say are your biggest competitors out there?
The biggest competitors that we have, really, they're not industry-specific competitors. There are some industry-specific CLMs that compete on the CRM side for sure, and are more developed, by the way, on the CRM side. They just lack the rest of the tools. So we're working to catch up to some of their stuff. And we've kind of let a few years go by because we wanted to see where nonprofit CRM was really going and what our own clients were using. What were they gravitating to? But on the website side of things, honestly, we really compete with folks, unfortunately, we compete with folks like Wix, and we can compete with folks like, WordPress and Joomla. And the reason we compete with them is usually because the way that nonprofits work, it's usually a volunteer that is trying to manage their stuff, their internet presence. And the guy comes in because the executive director doesn't want to do any of it, and neither does anybody else on the team, they say, okay, well, you do it. And so he says, all right, well, I know Wix, let's do that. It's rare when we talk about 1.5 million nonprofits in the United States alone. It is relatively rare for a nonprofit to say, I know where I'm going, I've designated a person, and I want to find the best technology for the job. When we get those guys, our technology, there's really nothing that they're looking at that really competes with it. Again, except on the CRM side. So we have a lot of folks that will use us for the web, use us for e-commerce and all of that, but then they end up using something else, let's say for CRM. We're going to change that here in the coming year. So we really want to keep their business. We want their data here so they stay longer with us. And then we can continue working and building on tools that will make it very effective for them.
Makes sense. Okay.
Any other questions, guys?
I'm assuming, or I shouldn't assume anything, that once we sign up with you, then there's some kind of a user group, or you don't really have any kind of
No, we don't have a user group. We used to do it, and what ended up happening was that folks ended up just giving each other the wrong advice. So we stopped that quickly. What we find is that, especially in our field, and you guys know this very well, folks typically will look to see what someone else is doing, and 90% of the time, what that person's doing is wrong. And so it's the blind following the blind. And what we'd like folks to do instead is use the available resource of communicating with us and letting us talk to them from the perspective of being able to look at 60,000 organizations all at one time. And we're seeing what works. We're seeing what doesn't work. We see the organizations bring in transactions in, and we see the ones that are just sitting there. And so what we do is, we say, hey, listen, come in, correspond with our team, start a new discussion, and say, hey, I need some strategic consulting. So I'd like to ask these questions, or I need some technical support. And it's about the content manager. Show me how to use it better. Here's the things I want to be able to do. We like them to come to us so that we can give them the best support possible. Now, what's nice about, we talked about there's 3 distinct levels of service. One is kind of do-it-yourself, self-manage. The other side is the content management side of things. And then the other side is a much more complete management. It's, helping them with a lot of this, not only just the website management, but also the marketing implementation and consulting. We like to tell folks is, listen, if you're running a nonprofit, you're probably running a low on the most precious resource, which is human resource. There's no reason you should be managing your own website. Tell us what you want to do. Let us do it for you. Get on the right plan and buy the right services. And ours are just affordable enough that it can be done. I can go over that with you, Rob.
Yep.
Any other questions, John?
By the way, Rob, Jason Swank is, I guess, an advisor or a consultant, or how is he connected? Is that right?
Yeah, Jason's both a consultant and just a friend of our business here. We talk to Jason quite a bit, and not only are contributed to by him, but we also contribute to his, to his group as much as we can too.
Well, that's
Great guy.
yeah, that's a good guy. That's good to know. All right, perfect.
Yeah, he's been out. We spent the day. He came out to Tampa probably I'm going to say about 5-6 months ago. And we spent a good day together, and we've also been looking at our business too, and spanking us for our pricing. Mm-hmm. But he always does. He always does that. He always does. But you know what? We know our market here, and I think our challenge here is to make sure that we provide the very best service possible for the budget. But at the same time, always listening to Jason's advice. I mean, just got great advice, spot on, and we do what we can to align ourselves with that model. Yeah.
You need to make sure that you get people in that price point where you got them on, using your software, and then, you could monetize them from there.
Yeah, absolutely. And we do. We're continually growing company, profitable, and
I thank you so much for your time. And